We serve the people. The people don't serve us.
Yeah, maybe it's not, it's not funny, but what I think is right. What I'm thinking is positive, not negative. I don't mind federal lines because I can see many people here are suffering. Many people, I don't know how many rich people in the island, like the United States of America. But my question is, does the federal government really want to help us by, especially today, fuel charge is too high, that the federal government can give us money to pay to subsidize our fuel charge?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the question, and look, we know that people are hurting now. People are having a hard time paying their electrical bills. There's a big, controversy with the CUC and that policy. Generally, it's hard to get resources. It doesn't mean we don't listen, but my office is responsible for all the island communities. Most of the island communities are facing economic difficulty. I think the CNMI is facing particular economic difficulty. And then in Washington, we work behind the scenes to try to get as much assistance as we can out to the islands. We're competing with a lot of other things. So when you ask, does Congress listen? Does the executive branch listen? Well, I'm the executive branch representative out here. I listen. Then I have to go back and I have to go, deal with people who are listening to other people. So it's hard. We do our best to get as much assistance as we can. There are limits to the resources that are available. So there are limits to the resources that we can get out to the islands. So we do try our best, but we have done our best, in my testimony before the Senate and before the House, we have gone into great detail about the suffering that's going on here because of the economy. And we have said, be careful what you do here because this is a very fragile economy. And we were very grateful when the Senate turned around and said, well, okay, we're not going to just go draft a bill on our own. You say that you're concerned, that's you, the executive branch, us. You say that you're concerned about the economy. You say you have to be careful and make sure you don't mess up the economy. You say you have to provide jobs for locals and economic opportunity for locals. Show us how you would do it. So that's what we tried to do. Okay? Now, reasonable people can say we did a good job, we did a bad job, you should change this, you should change that. But that's what we tried to do. And now it's everybody else's turn to say, here's how you should improve it, or you shouldn't go in that direction, or what. So, to answer your question, we'll continue to do our best to, get appropriate assistance out to the CNMI. It's always a difficult battle, especially for the islands. They're so far away. I do my best to come out here as much as possible, to talk to as many people as possible, and then to go back to Washington and communicate those concerns to people in Congress and to my colleagues in the executive branch. And I think we've done a pretty good job, but out here, I realize you might be frustrated because you're saying, well, it's not enough. And then I'm back in Washington and I'm saying, behind the scenes, well, we need to do more, and people are saying we don't have resources. So we're trying, we're working hard, we're doing our best. We have to keep working hard. We have to keep hearing from you. And I think people need to know that people out here are suffering. We also need good decisions to be made locally, by the way. It's our responsibility, and it's responsibility of local citizens and the local government to make good decisions. Sometimes people, either the federal government or the local government, make decisions that can make the situation worse. So in times of crisis, we all have to, to do our best to improve the situation. So I hear you, and we're doing our best. Next question. I can't hear for... Over here? Okay.
Mr. Cohen, first of all, got to compliment you. Most straightforward presentation of the issues that I've heard through all the media reports and all the sub-analysis and everything that's happened. You did the best job I've ever heard of explaining the positions. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Number two, okay? You are probably one of the brothers of the great Walendas, the greatest type walk artist in the world.
Sorry.
You know, I know you're dancing between the raindrops. Now, here's some practical questions for a person who has to do this practically, right? I am told by local law that 20% of my employment must be locals. I now get some of these permanent residents that come in. They have the same status as an FSM, my understanding. I decide to, because of taking excess leaves, through whatever that is non-corporate, that I fire 10% of my local workers. Will I be sued by your office under the Ombudsman that I have terminated U.S. citizens because one of the permanent residents has applied for the same position at the same rate, but I decide to hire that person? What will happen?
Again, I have an acoustics issue. I'm not sure I understood. I'm not sure I heard every step in that question properly, but you're saying that somehow federal law?
Local law is 20% of my workforce must be locals.
Sure.
Now I have 10% of the permanent residents coming in to have a job.
Now when you say permanent, let me stop you for 1 second for clarification. When you say permanent residents, are you talking with people with green cards, or are you talking with people with FAS status, or?
The new status. The new status.
Okay. They
long term.
Okay.
Well, so now I look at a pool of non-resident, long-term stayers, and I decide to hire those workers. If I terminate my local workers, American citizens, will I be sued under EEOC that I have discriminated against Americans?
Okay. If I can do my best to answer that, and then I might even ask Jim Benedetto if he has any perspective on that. But